Sessions for the subject business ethics. Today's topic is about the workplace conflicts and ethics. We have the following learning outcomes. First, students should be capable to differentiate between the intergroup and intragroup conflicts. They should also be capable to discuss several strategic issues in workplace ethics. We need to discuss also the labor management kind of relations. And finally, we will talk about the workforce reduction versus job creation efforts. So, regarding these outcomes, we will cover the following points, starting with the intergroup and intragroup conflicts, strategic issues in workplace ethics, labor management relations, and finally, the workforce reduction versus the job creation efforts. So in terms of the workplace ethics here, or the conflicts within the place where the company, where employees actually operate, we have different types of conflicts. Now, talking about conflicts that may happen in companies, it can be in terms of the values adopted by the company itself and the values of individuals within these companies. So the core values of organization can somehow clash with those of individuals, resulting in a conflict. Besides, perceived inconsistency between actions and value. Such inconsistencies between such kind of actions and claimed values by the organization can create conflict. Furthermore, varied perceptions of reality. The way we look at things can also be different. So what somebody believes is right can also be wrong for another person from a different angle. Such kind of perception can also lead to these conflicts. In other words, both job and employees-related issues can bring ethical dilemma to the surface, considering the perception of these values. So, conflicts at work regarding what is or what is not ethical. We have the first, which is referred to as the intergroup conflicts, which may happen between employees and their employer, labor union leaders, and the manager. If you notice here, we have two different points, two different sides and parties. The employee together with the management, or representatives of the employees referred to as labor union leaders, and the managers. That is why we refer to such kind of intergroup as conflicts of intergroup. Now, such kind of conflicts are mostly quite obvious and actually based on interests of both parties. While on the other hand, we have the intra-group conflicts within groups, such as union members disagreeing on contract goals. Now, such kind of conflict may happen within the union itself, while the intergroup conflicts happen between two different parties. Besides, the varied management department's strategic plan, which can happen within the one department, considering different point of view, different plans, different opinions. Now we will talk about some issues, strategic issues in the workplace ethics. For example, the workplace ethics can involve contrasting rights of individuals, groups, or even the employer. So ethics at work can involve contracts and rights of life and safety, privacy and freedom, property and pursuit of happiness. So our perception as to employees and managers may be different regarding these issues. Now, for example here, the selection and promotion of employees and supervisors. One of the things that may lead to conflict is how people actually are selected for the jobs. So in order to tackle this issue, there must be a thorough job description criteria and measurement frameworks through which people are selected and hired. Furthermore, These measurements can also help in appraising employees and providing more incentives. Pre-selection of eventual winners within the company can also be subject to different opinions and leading to conflict. Caring person values and skills is another issue that may create such kind of discrepancy between the management and the employees. In that sense, the company must figure out the most needed desired by individuals in order to use them as motivators. Now, rights to collect information versus the employee's rights of privacy. For example here, the company would like to gather as much information as it can in a way that can help the company achieve its objectives. The company would like, for example, to figure out to know more about the individual's self-habits, for example, monitoring for drug and alcohol use. The company may also be interested in collecting data on work lives and performance. So, if we notice the first and the second, we find them having great influence and impact on the work itself. Besides screening for dexterity, communication skills, and personality traits. Furthermore, the company may also adopt some kind of technological appliances or technology, computer performance monitoring, and video camera surveillance. Another strategic issue in the workplace ethics is about the income differential within the workplace and society. Income differences is actually one of the sources of conflict that may happen in a company, leading to unethical conducts. For example, the compensation and pay structures within the firm is not fair and actually is not based on the job description or the job analysis, resulting in unethical kind of compensation system. Gender-related pay differentials. Are males paid more than females or not? And chief executive officer compensation in relation to others in the firm. Top management compensation system, of course, is different, but actually this difference is based on such kind of merits. On the other hand, companies' punishments is one of the reasons why we may have some kind of conflicts. So, punishments and just cause and discipline cases. Now, companies using or adopting some such procedures which can enable the company handle these disciplinary cases in a fair way. Procedural justice and corrective discipline system must be adopted by the company. Another way, any kind of punishment that is issued by the company should be based on a systematic approach. Now, the just cause standards in union and non-union settings is another issue. Employing at will versus wrongful disclosure exception. Now, what we mean by employment at will is that there's no contract defined regarding the time. On the other hand, we have wrongful discharge exception, the discharge of employees based on certain kind of circumstances, wrongful one of course, and the exceptions to these discharges. Another issue that is handled by the company to maintain ethics and workplace ethics is about the occupational health and safety. So the Workers' Compensation Act and disputed claims. So for example here, we have the general duty clause. Employers, managers, and top management are actually required to provide their employees with a place of employment that is free from recognizable hazards, and this is based on the nature of the work itself. So talking about indoor and outdoor kind of jobs, talking about the kind of work that requires a contact with employees, with machineries, heavy machineries, working in the field. So the nature of business can somehow define the kind of hazards. So such hazards that are causing or likely to cause death or serious harms to employees. The cost-benefit analysis in standard setting and enforcement. So the more danger and hazards, the more benefits, of course, and compensation to be offered. Now, labor management relations, the kind of relation that should happen between the top management and the employees, whether represented through unions or directly with the employees. So, the rights of employees to unionize versus the top management or the employer right to operate union-free. This is one of the controversial issues. It's a kind of difficult issue to handle. Employees have the right to unionize in companies, while top management believe that such thing will minimize the control or the level of control they have over the business. So union and employee rights and the limitation to strike is another issue. In case a company is unionized, do they have to strike once they have demands not accepted or not? And this is actually based on certain laws governed or governing such kind of procedure, and which can also be subject to differences from one country to another. So talking about unions, it was found that the collective bargaining procedure is actually one of the best ways to handle such kind of differences between managers, employers, and the workers. So here, collective bargaining is about traditional labor management negotiations. So the kind of negotiations where problems can be solved or through which ideas and solutions can be put ahead. Besides, collective bargaining can be also interest-based as a win-win styles of bargaining. Now the company relies on its staff to handle its objectives, while the employee rely on the company to offer their own compensation as planned or as accepted. Now, one of the points we have to discuss regarding the workplace ethics is workforce reduction versus the job creation efforts. In that sense, the labor management conflicts over the workforce redundancy. Top management may think that we have plenty of workers where the costs are too much and that the need of such kind of labor is not that important. Another thing is the impact of privatization of public sector workplaces. So various responses to downsizing pressures have included human downsizing policies. If the company has to downsize its human resources, so there must be some kind of system to adopt such kind of procedure. Labor management community job creation efforts. Companies, in a way to lay off their employees, must find another alternative for those employees. Employee stock ownership plans is another solution which may help solve the problem of downsizing. Employee may already be part of the ownership if the company has to lay off some of those employees. By this, dear students, we come to the end of this topic in which we discuss the differences between the intergroup and intergroup conflicts. We also discuss several strategic issues in workplace ethics. We evaluated the kind of relation that exists between the labor and management, and we discuss workforce reduction, should this actually happen in the company, and the job creation efforts on the other hand. So by the end of this topic, you have an attachment in which students should be capable to address different questions affiliating with these topics. And now, once we reach the last session for this topic, which is business ethics, we will recap the points that we discussed earlier in different stages. So we actually studied different topics affiliating with the field business ethics, starting with the definition of the word ethics and business principles. And then we talked about ethics in international businesses. We discussed basic ethical principles, as you said before, utilitarianism. Then we go to right and justice. After we understand the differences among these kind of principle ethics, we then discuss the market ethics and marketing ethics in the marketplace in terms of ideologies adopted by different markets. We also talked about ethics and the environment. We then discussed the ethics of consumer production and marketing, sustainable marketing and ethics. And we talked about the job discrimination that may happen in some of the organizations. We talked about the rational organizations in terms of the relation between employees and the employers, and of course the rights for each. And finally, we ended up with the workplace conflict and ethics. So by this, we come to the end of our sessions for the subject business ethics. Thank you very much for listening to us. I wish you all the best in the course of your life and your study as well. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.